Hello, good morning and welcome back to the Fish Locker out on the boat with Jim.
Good morning.
I've come out this morning, it is absolutely glorious. This is almost like the eye in the storm. The wind's just changing from easterly, it's going to go southerly, so we've got a really calm spell. And we've taken the opportunity to go out and try and find some winter mackerel. Spring mackerel now, is it?
Spring mackerel.
Spring mackerel. Yeah, so we're just going to be drifting around today. In fact, there's some just come through on the sounder there. So that's what we're looking for. We're going to be fishing feathers and we're going to be fishing spinners. I'm just going to have a little bit of fun for half an hour, pick up some fresh mackerel, and then we're going to go back to Jim's and cook them up. That's the plan anyway. See you in a bit. No. Oh, we have some, well, I don't even know if you call those herring. Some mackerel there and some big, they look like herring.
Yes. Well, roll mops.
Yeah.
For supper.
All I was using there is a set of sabikis. Just a set of small feathers. I think these are, they might be size 8, they might be size 12. And all I've done is, you might have noticed that they come off the hook really easy. It's because I've crushed the barb on the hooks. Just so that when I'm unhooking them, they come off the hooks easier. If you catch some that are too small, you just turn the hooks upside down and they come straight off. Selective fishing. Just want to show you a couple of them now. Some of the mackerel we've got, they are in great condition. That's the difference between a herring and a mackerel. Oh, you put the line up on one of your eyes, Jim. Quite often what you'll find is the speakies pick up everything. All we're doing is we've steamed around to a patch where we thought we'd find some and we're just drifting through. Now the lures and the sabikis, they're just imitating small bait fish, which the mackerel and everything else are feeding on. The lure that Jim's fishing with is a little 20-gram silver metal lure. They generally pick out the better fish because the bigger baits catch the bigger fish. I keep everything alive in a live bait tank down there. That way I can be selective also, being that if I catch a bigger fish, I can release one of the smaller ones. Keep them all together, dispatch them all and bleed them all at the same time. You're in.
I thought it was something like 20 pounds.
Thought it was a monster.
No, not.
What about that? Do you want to keep it? Do you want to let it go?
Let's put it back.
Too small.
Yeah.
Some people will disagree about releasing a fish that you've touched. It's quite a contentious subject. But with wet hands and with handling them as little as possible, there's no problem with putting them back. These fish are swimming about everywhere in the water column. Now you can watch onto a sounder screen like we've got here. But the best thing to do is work your way right through the water column. So I'll drop all the way at the bottom and I'll do a wind and a bounce and a wind and a bounce. That works the lures all the way up through the water column. So I'll find where they are. That's a bad one. Oh, yeah. That's a nice chunky one there. One of the things about fishing for mackerel is you can never see the scales on your hands when they're wet. You think you've washed your hands, you think you've cleaned them all off, and you get home and you'll find some stuck to your fingernails. We're all fighting for it now, aren't we?
I can feel them on my. They pass me by. I could feel them run.
Hitting the lure.
Yes.
still down there. Drop right down to the bottom. I got a few on the feathers, and Jim's picked one up on the lure as well. Big enough to keep?
Just. Yep.
No, he wasn't coming off, was he?
No, no.
There you go.
Thank you.
There we go, just like that. You'll find that mackerel are a shoaling fish. They'll come past, like you've just seen there, they'll come past in a group and you'll all hook up at the same time. Right, Jim and I have finished having a bit of play. We have got some stunning fish. We got some brilliant eating sized mackerel, and we did get a few bonus herring. Now, I wasn't expecting them, but I'll gladly take them. As I mentioned earlier, I keep all of my fish alive in a live bait tank and then dispatch them all at the same time. Now, I aren't going to show that for camera because I know that some viewers don't like seeing that. But if you wanted to learn more about the methods which are used for dispatching, you can search for Ikjimi. You dispatch them and then bleed them. These have all been dispatched and bled. I'm going to take them ashore now and we're going to clean them off. We're going to gut and fillet some of the fish, and I'm going to scale the herring. I'll show you that when we get in there. Here are the mackerel and those are the herrings there. Now, I've already bled these off at sea, and I'll just show you really quickly. All you need to do is you take a sharp knife and you start from its backside and just run all the way up in between those two fins there. And then there's no real nice way of saying this. All you have to do is scoop out everything that's on the inside. After a good wash, there you go, completely clean belly cavity. That's ready. I'll do another one there to show you. All you do is you start the underside there. There you go. Right, I have cleaned off all of the mackerel and I'm just going to start with these herrings here. Now the herring, they have a lot of scales, you can see there. Now it's easier to scale them before you gut them, and I scale things underwater. If you scale them like this, you just fire scales everywhere, whereas if you do it underwater, the scales stay under the water. Yeah, that's what it looks like when the scales are off. That's what it looks like when they're on. So just using the back of a knife, just rub up from the tail towards the head, and it just lifts all the scales off. Yeah, look, that's one side completely done compared to that. You can see straight away, can't you? I've just finished doing all these and I'll show you how to gut them. Right, I have scaled off all of the herring. You can see they've not got as much of a sheen to them now, have they? Just the same as before. All you need to do is you just need to run knife in the bottom and slide all the way up. That opens up the belly cavity and you just remove all of the insides. There's nothing in their stomachs.
They hadn't started. They're just starting feeding.
They've just gone for their breakfast, haven't they?
And now they will be our breakfast, John.
There you go. Completely clean. Now we have everything. All the mackerel and the herring all ready to be taken and prepped off. We've made it up to Jim's.
I'm chilled. I'm not taking my hat off and I'm not taking my top off. I will when I'm warming. As you can see, we're back home. We're going to have the herring for our breakfast. here. I'm going to pass them through a bit of seasoned flour, smear them lightly with some Dijon mustard, and then egg, and I'm going to coat them in. This is just Scott's porridge oats.
Did you say if that was self-raising or plain, or does it not matter?
Plain flour, a bit of fine sea salt, and some ground white and black pepper. A little bit of Dijon mustard. If I had some English mustard powder, I would have put the mustard powder in with the flour or in with the oatmeal. But I'll just smother it. But what I want to do with some of the smaller ones is souse them. So I've just got a shallow dish, and there's
A
centimetre of water, half an onion sliced, a carrot sliced, and I'm just going to...
Not just malt vinegar.
That's regular malt vinegar or cider vinegar or any vinegar you've got in the back of the cupboard, and probably a dessert spoon of it, and we'll fillet a couple of the smaller mackerel. Now you can either roll those up and skewer them with a cocktail stick, but as a shallow dish I'm just going to lay the fillets in there, and then we'll cook it in a slow oven, preheating to 150, and they will keep for ages in a sealed container with some of the liquid, but they will be lovely for a cold salad.
We're also going to have just a very simple pan-fried mackerel fillet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all these and I'm going to fillet them off now. I've already had a practice go. As you can see, I've just taken the fillet off the side of the mackerel. There's no meat left there. The really simple mackerel, all you need to do is you just go up towards the fin, then turn the blade round and run right down the backbone, like that. So that's, well, you can see daylight through it. There's nothing on there. And for the fillet, there's a little line of bones that runs through the centre, and there's what's left of the rib cage there. Now for removing these, you just go in at an angle and scoop in behind them. You're only removing a little tiny bit of flesh and taking all the bones with it. There. And down the centre, all you're going to do is you're just going to run the knife down either side of the line of bones.
Just down to the skin, not hopefully not through it. Just going through the meat, because if you do it right, what you should be able to do is take hold of it at the end. Put a bit of salt on the end of your fingers,
and it should pull all the way out like that. And that little strip there has got all the bones in it. So that has left nothing but meat. Yeah. We managed to get our way through the filleting.
The filleting is done. Right. I'm going to souse some of these smaller mackerel fillets. So the oven is preheated to 150, and they'll probably take the best part of an hour or so. Slow and steady is always best. And we'll have those cold for tea.
They've got a lovely looking skin on the other side of them, don't they? I do like mackerel.
What we did forget to pick up on the way back from a hedgerow, John, was some bay leaves. But anyway, hey ho. In they go. Right. Pan, as you can see, was warming with some sunflower oil and a knob of butter. Let's get on with our breakfast. Here's the herring. I just smeared them with a little Dijon mustard, and I'm going to dunk into seasoned flour, bit of egg wash, that's just an egg and milk, oatmeal, regular porridge oats. There we go. take that to the pan, skin side down, turn up the gas a little.
What we'll do now is, because we've done that, we'll lay them all out here and you can just dunk straight in the pan. Flour, egg.
Wash. That's just 1 egg and a splash of milk.
Oatmeal.
Oatmeal.
I did manage to butterfly one of them off, but it was that much of a chew that I've just decided to fillet the rest of them. I'll be honest with you. They're only thin fillets, aren't they? So
Yeah,
not going to take over
they
long.
won't take very long to cook at all. 2-3 minutes each side. But if we give them slightly longer on the skin side, and then turn them over and perhaps give them a minute. You just have to remember which one went in first.
Yeah.
So they little over 2 minutes. Nice. Oatmeal's taking up a little bit of colour.
That's nice, looks almost like a flapjack.
Sumptuous.
I'm looking at those and I can see them sizzling and I'm just thinking, how are your fingers?
I see.
How are your fingers not falling off?
Indeed. They just look lovely, don't they? I'm just going to put a little bit of vinegar on mine, but you could have another spoonful of mustard.
I don't know,
I'm just, as this is like breakfast, I'm not going to bother with
it's
salad.
the first time that I've tried them with oatmeal on, so I'm going to try them just plain as they are and I might add a little bit to them.
Oh, lovely. Look at the bones. They feel like you're getting kippers. They're very fine. Pain in the butt, really, but you
can eat half of them if you
wanted
wanted to.
Cause you any issues.
No.
Oh my word.
Don't get any fresher. Get an hour out of the sea.
Oh, yeah. A bit more mustard on them. English mustard powder.
You only had the mustard on them for a little bit, would you? If
Yeah,
you'd have soaked it on them for a while.
Well, I think I would have done it on both sides. I'm just going to put a bit of vinegar on those. But my word.
I'm going to get started, but yes.
Mm-hmm.
The herring was absolutely delicious. You can see there that you just have to work your way through some little tiny bones in there. They won't do you any harm if you eat them, but it's just like having a bit of a hair in your mouth sometimes. Yeah, absolutely delicious.
We're all set for lunch now. Breakfast was delicious. I'd just forgotten how good that was. And we're going to have just very simple pan-fried mackerel now, and I'm going to do a few different things to go with it. I'm just going to grate some celery. I'm not going to cook it. I'm going to make some remoulade, which is a terrific alternative to coleslaw. Bowl, grated celeriac, half a sliced onion, half a lemon just squeezed into there. I quite like the taste of mustard, so that's half a dessert spoon, or a large teaspoon I suppose. Just some mayonnaise. Ooh. Right, there we are. I think the smell is delicious. John might disagree because there's vague hints of celery in there from the celeriac, which is a clue. The next side I'm going to prepare to go with our pan-fried mackerel is beetroot and orange salad. This is a pack of supermarket pre-cooked, vac-packed, nice large juicy orange. That's pretty good. You see the membrane there.
You're taking the
Just
pith.
going to take the flesh away from the pith, John. Thank you for preempting my words there.
Taking the pith.
So we're taking the pith from the flesh. Yes, quite right. When are you back to school, John? Will you be going up to class 4 next term? And then a final squeeze, get all the juice out. There we go. That's all the pith and no flesh. Do you remember when you came up to the allotment and did that little film? Was that in the autumn, I think, wasn't it?
Of
winter.
Of your allotment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember we were talking about the rhubarb
Yeah.
that I just planted that year? Couldn't pick it because we get a better crop,
Yeah.
but I just had my first crop and I cooked some down and it is unbelievable.
Wow.
I never had rhubarb with mackerel, but we're going to try it today. I'm going to put a little bit of ginger with that and we'll just see. We'll have a spoonful of that because that's going to be crumble when you're gone, because there will be none left.
And what is it? Is it the sharpness of the rhubarb you think it's going to...
Yes. You just want, because the mackerel is quite an oily fish, you just want something to help cut through, in the same way that vinegar or lemon juice.
Yeah.
Right, the next little accompaniment for our mackerel lunch, John, is to make some fennel fritters. So a bulb of fennel from the supermarket.
This is going to be another first for me as well. I've never had fennel fritters.
Not too thick because we want it to cook through. And what I'm going to do is pass these through the seasoned flour, egg and the breadcrumbs. So that's the flour from the
Herring.
and the egg from the herring, and there's some white breadcrumbs I made earlier. They were the bread rolls from the previous filming. Alright, I've had the pans on, this pan on warming. I use sunflower oil, or if you can get it still, rapeseed oil. It's very good for frying on. Just try to avoid the basic supermarket vegetable oil. Although a good tip, if you're in the supermarket, look at their vegetable oil, read on the back, and sometimes it says 100% rapeseed oil and it'll be a third of the price.
I've noticed on some of them where some of the more expensive rapeseed oils are only maybe 10% rapeseed oil and the rest of it's...
Always look on the back. And sunflower oil is a basic, but I always check the basic vegetable oil and just read there, and often you'll see it will say 100% rapeseed oil. So in with the fennel. I'm going to try my best and keep one hand clean. Right, there's our fennel, egg and crumbed. I've just taken the pan off the heat because it was running a little hot. When I've loaded up
The oil will drop down in temperature.
it'll come down in temperature. So I'm going to put that on a low heat. What we want is the fennel to cook and the breadcrumbs to brown. If it's black, it's buggered. It's a good cooking tip. When it's brown, a golden brown, it's cooked on. When it's black, it's buggered.
Jim assures me that it will change the taste of the fennel. I've just tried some of it raw and it was like red aftershock for anybody who knows what that is. Really strong aniseed taste. Lovely and golden brown. That one's lost its skin.
Just turn the gas up a little. What a picture, eh? What a picture.
Fennel fritters. Who'd have thought it?
I'm going to cook the mackerel fillets now. So some clean seasoned flour. So, plain flour, fine sea salt. This is ground white pepper, a bit of ground black. Okay, nothing more than a generous pinch. And
Caught a bit of that, did you?
yeah, did the peppers come up on a thermal? Just a little bit of oil in the pan.
Have you dropped them fritters back so they're just...
The fritters are cooking away beautifully. Yeah. Boy, oh boy.
If they taste as good as they look, it'll be fantastic.
A circular motion with a digit.
Would that count as twiddling?
Yeah, the larger ones first.
The salt over
Sorry.
Nah, I just don't want you. Flour in your salt.
A sneeze is coming now. Look how the pepper and a little bit of heat and it's everywhere. Okay, skin side down. Little bit of shrink back
I
from
was just
the
going to say, that
heat.
was a retraction there, wasn't there?
That's fine. Put one more in. Save those last bits.
There's a massive difference if you bleed your fish. So how much blood they retain in the fillets, it's a massive difference.
I'll just get those ready for Carol's lunch. Kitchen paper, turn the gas off. Lift these out.
There's always a wonderful mix of aromas. One of the things you can't properly convey in the videos these days, because the experience changes throughout the cooking, doesn't it?
If only we could introduce that into the mixture.
Smell-o-vision.
Here's the mackerel we put to souse. It's just been in there an hour. It's just done. I'm going to leave it for another.
You just check by how tender it is.
Yes, it's cooked through. But another half hour. What I'll do is in half an hour I'll turn the oven off and leave that in to cool down. Oh, look at that. Cook the fish for twice as long on the skin side.
Seems nicely brown though.
Oh, look at that. I'm dribbling here.
How long would you say that for? Not been
Well,
more than a few minutes.
two minutes on the skin side. Lunch is ready. So, some rocket with a bit of grated radish and a drizzle of olive oil. Well, before we started filming, I just put a pan of new potatoes on, so I knew they would be cooked. Do you want to try a big bit or a little bit?
I'm in for penny, in for pound. Go for it.
Be for good boy. Okay. Mackerel. I'm an advocate of vinegar on mackerel. Quite a
One of the things that I love
eclectic.
about beetroot as well is it adds such a vivid colour to everything, doesn't it?
It does.
And I'm going to try just a little bit of this celeriac coleslaw. Look at that. Yeah, again, just the mixture of smells is just phenomenal.
There you go.
So, simple pan-fried mackerel with just flour and some seasoning. Celeriac coleslaw, fennel fritters, new potatoes, and beetroot and orange.
Right, let's give it a go, shall we?
Very fancy for just your humble mackerel.
This just simple pan-fried mackerel in seasoned flour with vinegar, I think, has to be one of the best fish dishes ever in creation. Going in for the fennel fritter with John. Go on, John, straight in.
Jim said that he wished that he'd recorded it when I was
Trying it raw.
trying it raw. Yeah.
Go on, in you go. Be bold.
Yeah, it's nowhere near as strong as what
No, it's completely different, isn't it? Right, before you eat all that, just have some of that plain mackerel, because you just need to experience that.
I'll just move this out of the way. You get that all right?
Yeah, lovely. So that's just had a... No, you eat the skin too, John. Get it all. That's it, boy. Just had a dash of malt vinegar on it. It's just...
The flavour is delicious, and what adds to it as well is that little bit of crispy skin underneath.
It's just the best ever.
And like I said, the flavour of the mackerel is absolutely delicious. Just not unadulterated, it's just amazing. And by cooking the skin on either side as well, it just adds that little bit of a crispy chewiness to it as well. It's wonderful. I'm going to try and go through and describe for you how the combination of flavours in each piece of it. It's something really special. The fennel fritters, the first time I'd really had it before, and raw it was just incredibly strong of aniside, but cooked like this, it really does mellow it out. It's delicious. And the beetroot and orange as well. Usually you think of beetroot being like pickled beetroot, quite sour. By adding the orange to it, it softens it and makes it quite sweet. The mackerel, it's all amazing, and the celeriac, the mixture of the lemon juice and the mustard, it's spicy, and yet at the same time, I can't really describe it, but you know when you have lemon, you go, it's spicy in it like that. So it's just a mixture of it all together. It's incredible. It's like a plethora of
lovely
different
aftertaste.
Yeah.
But after you've eaten it, there's another flavour comes in. It's like...
It's hard to describe.
Onion juice.
I'm there and I'm like, and there's another one, and there's another one, and that is delicious.
Can't resist this. Oh,
I was just talking with Jim there, and it was one of those times where I found that I was just eating in silence, because the combination of the different things, every mouthful that I took, when I added a little bit more of one or a little try of, it was a completely different flavour, and then after you'd finished eating, it was a completely different aftertaste. So it was almost like every single mouthful was a different experience, from either like the sweetness or the spicy or the sour or the crispiness, and it was absolutely delicious.
Didn't detract from the grandeur of the most simple of fish dishes, and in my mind, the best way to eat mackerel. It was seasoned flour and a splash of vinegar with some buttered bread, and that is the food of my childhood, and still the best dish. The accompaniments were all very different, but each one of them complemented the fish without detracting from the beauty of the simplicity of the fish flavour.
Jim was just saying that when he was a kid, it was mackerel like that, but it was bread and butter. And I was just thinking, well, every single one of these, I wouldn't have picked them as an accompaniment, because I didn't even consider it would be like a complementary flavour to go with it. It was, considering that it's just your humble mackerel, and it was just cooked in an incredibly simple way. It was absolutely delicious.
Almost unbeatable. But the turbot, when you catch it, John, will give that a really good go.
We have Jim's kept a fillet after. He's kept a fillet over, and what he's going to do is you're going to experiment with
a filled sweet potato.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes, and then we'll maybe do that in the next video.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, it's been a lovely day, and the sun's just come out, So perfect. I'm going to go now. Hannah really has missed out. She's going to be absolutely wounded when I tell her. I hope you enjoyed joining us out on the boat, and I've definitely enjoyed our time in the kitchen.
It's been a lovely day. Thank you. Bye bye.
See you later.